welcome to today's tarot and oracle card reading. Thank you for joining me. This is an intuitive reading that can be viewed at any time. It's not particular to this date. It's November 2020, but you could watch it in the future at any time. Today, as you saw in the intro, I'm using the Angelarium Oracle of Emanations deck for the oracle part, and Tarot del Toro as the tarot deck. I've been really enjoying the Tarot del Toro recently, which is a little bit strange because I'm usually not into, what is the word? Like macabre? I'm usually not into things that are a little darker as much. So it's kind of interesting that it's resonating with me just in terms of like a tarot deck in and of itself. So I've already drawn the cards and I've actually already taken notes because I tend to be intuitive as I'm writing more easily. I wanted to mention that I have a podcast called Mystic Rocket. Right now you can find it on Podbean only. So Podbean, Mystic Rocket. So far, I have 2 podcast episodes. The first one is kind of long. It's about an hour. It's about spiritual protection and kind of almost creepy stuff, but not quite. And then the second podcast is about different psychic and intuitive skills. And that one's shorter. It's about 20 or 30 minutes. So a couple podcasts to choose from if you're interested. And then I also wanted to mention that if you want a personal reading, you can check out my website, and I'm going to, obviously have the website link in the description. It's really cool. You should check out my website. It's a lot of good stuff. Ongoing things to update, but so far I'm offering card readings. I'm also offering distance Reiki with an oracle. Not oracle. I was thinking chakra and I said oracle. That's really funny. I meant to say distance Reiki and a chakra reading, which is really fun. And it's in an asynchronous format, so you don't need to set up a time with me or anything. You just order the intuitive reading, and then I create a video, but it's personalized for you. And it's really fun. I like it because it gives everyone a chance to relax and see the intuition when they want to. Okay, so now without further commentary, let's jump in. I'm going to do the 2 Angelarium Oracle cards first. Really interesting. Okay, the very first card that came up. Well, first of all, I drew 2 cards, and this card was in the second place of the 2 cards. But then this was the one that wanted to kind of intuitively come through first. So it's the Angel Uriel, Angel of Flame. I'll say it one more time. I don't know why. Archangel Uriel. Okay. The interesting thing to me about this is that when I do the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, which I've been doing off and on the past couple months, which is really cool to me. I love all this occult ritual stuff. I know I'm geeking out over it, which is not as cool, but it's okay. I don't get as much of a sense of Archangel Uriel. So as soon as I drew this card, I was like, oh, that's interesting that he's coming up, because I have kind of some, this is going to sound stupid, but some unfinished business with Archangel Uriel. But in terms of I don't get as powerful of a presence when I'm doing the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. And I really want that presence. I think it's partly a protection ritual, so it's I want all of the archangels to be present. But obviously, respectfully. But, okay, so with that in mind, as I approached this card, I get the sense that this energy of Archangel Uriel needs nurturing in my psyche, and that's one of the reasons it's not coming through as strongly, that energy. And in general, in a wider sense, perhaps we can focus more attention on Archangel Uriel in our overall human psyche. So as I was saying, like, his energy feels farther away or kind of weak, which doesn't obviously make sense. So it's just like harder to reach. So I got the intuition that one of the reasons he's harder to reach is that it's an invitation to get even deeper into the spiritual path. So the message is, don't hold back so much. Really throw yourself into your spiritual path. No excuses, no hesitations. Like all of those really cool rituals and like occult ideas that are pulling you, don't put it off. Like go ahead and follow through with them. So that's really cool. I thought that was a good message coming through. The other thing that was interesting to me is this card says Angel of Flame, but I think in the version of the Lesser Banishing Ritual, the pentagram that I've been doing, Uriel is in the north, and I think the element was earth, but maybe it's different in different cases. And this is flame, which would be fire, I guess. So, I don't know. Just thought that was interesting, kind of a little bit of something to delve into more, find out more. Yeah, so that's about it for this one. But I think it's gonna be interesting. Like if you notice more messages or this energy of Archangel Uriel, feel free to leave a message in the comments. Or I want to start like more of a dialogue with people. So if you have like an actual thoughtful comment or insight, you can email me, and we can start chatting about stuff like that. Because like the whole point of my my spiritual path and my spiritual business is I want to like be supportive of other people's kind of more unique esoteric occult paths, because I think sometimes there's this sense of going solo with those types of paths. I mean there is for me, but like sometimes you do want to share some of your ideas. There's that balance of like wanting things exactly your way, because you are a solitary practitioner, but on the other hand, needing to kind of get some ideas out at some point. So I want to create that positive, sacred space for that. So my point is, like, if you do have some kind of cool message that comes through intuitively for you, feel free to email me. Okay, so back to the cards. The second card from the Angelarium Oracle is someone I'm not familiar with. It says Angel of Time, Angel Remph, Remph. So I'm not very familiar with this angel. I assume like the author of the Oracle deck has more of, relationship with this angel. So in terms of this idea of time, intuitively I wrote down that it's a message to use a mystical sense of time and use this mystical sense of time to your advantage. This is about exploration. And as you are exploring in different realms and different imaginal senses of things, like through meditation and lucid dreaming, you're going to be learning so much from that exploration. It's almost going to be like basically exponential just by having those experiences in lucid dreaming and meditation and exploring that way. So with time, you can walk through that doorway of, if there's a particular era that you want to explore, go ahead and use your imagination to explore that era. And that's going to be like really fun and really a good source of knowledge for you. And along those lines, go ahead, if you are drawn to it, make contact with spiritual beings from other realms. There's so much we can learn from each other. And I think sometimes we feel like there's more of a boundary and we're a little put off by that. But I feel like coming through with this card, I guess this idea of like these archangels and angels and beings in general, It's about stepping forward and going ahead. If you're drawn to it, make contact with these beings from other realms, for everyone's highest good and greatest knowledge. That's really cool. Oh, and along those lines, my favorite book about this type of material is the book Dream Gates by Robert Moss. And that was the first book, I think in like 2014, I think. That was the first time I realized that there are other realms and other dimensions, and like there actually exist other aspects of life that we're not introduced to in Western culture as much. At least I wasn't. So the book Dream Gates by Robert Moss was the first time it clicked for me that like there's actually other realms to explore. And that was like earth shattering, basically. And I'm still working on what that means for me in my life. Like, how am I going to actually step forward even more with my meditation practice and lucid dream practice? But anyway, that's a good book to start with. Okay, now let's go on to the 4 tarot cards that came up from the Tarot del Toro. On a side note, I'm going to be doing some videos probably about like shelfies, about different books I have, and also having some introduction to some different tarot and oracle card decks. Just kind of like, getting a little bit of information out about those. It's so fun to see all the different art and stuff like that. So these are just a couple ideas I have. Okay. Let's see these cards. It's kind of interesting because I didn't want to get the Pips cards because in this deck they don't have that much imagery. It's literally just like the knives for swords or the skull goblets for the suit of cups. That's Mo back there. So I really didn't want to get the Pips cards, and I didn't. I drew 2 major arcana cards for you guys. And I drew 2 of the, what are they called? Royalty cards? 2 royalty cards. Can't think of the right word right now. Okay, let's move on to these cards. I know everyone's the suspense, right? The first card that came up in the tarot deck is the Wheel of Fortune. That's interesting because I usually don't get this card, but recently it's been coming up a little bit. So, I feel like this is a 3rd dimensional concept of being tied to your station in life. That's like ancient history now. But I feel like that's what this card symbolizes to me. Like these people are stuck and they feel like they were born into a certain path in life. And, back in the day, I guess that was like a big deal, and you had to, like, that was your job. Like, you were either a farmer or someone else, and I don't think there was that much mobility socially, or whatever you want to call it. But, so that's, like, obviously, like, an antiquated idea. So when this card comes up, to me it means that it's time to break out of the mold, break free, and create your own sense of luck and fortune. What's the other thing that comes up with this? Well, I also wrote down you want to get free of this Wheel of Fortune because I think it's a 3rd dimensional earth plane concept that we can easily step out of. And we use our expanded mind to do that. If we have tunnel vision in a negative sense, we have a very rigid belief system, and we don't think that we can do something more creative or more imagination based. So when we see this card, it's an invitation to do the opposite and get off of that wheel that just keeps turning and turning. And then, the sense of freedom is yours all the time, and it's just about like giving yourself, I don't know, that's like kind of a cliche, giving yourself permission, but just allow yourself to step fully into that sense of freedom and to keep expanding your mind, expanding your sense of what that freedom means. Okay, let's move on. Sorry if you can hear my husband Joey in the background a little bit. He's downstairs, but my office door is open. Okay, the next card is the King of Wands. What an interesting character here. So obviously the way that the King of Wands is depicted on this particular card, there's this element of nature. He has these like bat wings. He kind of seems like a nature spirit to me. So with this nature element, this particular card, okay, it's really loud. I'm going to stop for a second. Okay, I took a moment to close the door to my office. I'm going to try to talk really loudly so you can't hear the conversation downstairs. Because Joey's on the phone. Okay, let's get back into this. So this is someone who looks like a character who's a nature spirit to me. And I feel like getting back to a nature realm is different than, the third dimension, kind of this crappy matrix type living where it's like we're expected to stay within this narrow frame of mind. So I feel like when we think about nature and nature spirits, we are reviving a more primary aspect of life. So we can live in our physicality and really enjoy that, but probably we'll enjoy it more when we're getting a lot of fresh air and time outside communing with nature. So I feel like, having a sense of physicality that serves you well and that supports you would be this nature realm, tuning into that. And what I consider 3D, the like crappy matrix version of living, is like too much plastic life, like the superficial life, like watching too much television and working in an office that doesn't support your creativity and stuff like that. And we get this sense with this character and with the nature realm in general that there's some type of ancient wisdom to nature, and that with different types of visualization and shamanic journeying, we can tune into that aspect of life, which is this nature realm. We can tune into it a lot more effectively and like be supported by that and get some cool information and wisdom from those journeys. Okay, the third card of the tarot deck today is the Strength card. That's a great card to have show up. Strength. So I feel like your strength lies in trusting yourself. Really, as you trust yourself, realizing your own power, your inner power, and your strength. You are an intelligent and powerful creator being. And I feel like as adults, we have so much of this inner power and creativity and strength at our fingertips. But sometimes because of the way we grew up, we don't feel like we have as much access to that because we need to expand our minds a little more. So again, this idea of breaking the mold is coming through. Just try different brand new ways of living. It doesn't have to be anything too drastic. It could be drastic or it could not be drastic. Just like think differently, read different things, meditate differently, get outside and explore an area or a place that you've never been to before. Like all these things that kind of expand your sense of what is possible. And I feel like the Strength card, that sense of inner strength and inner power, is also a reminder to stay true to yourself, even that when you feel like no one else gets it. And because of staying true to yourself, you'll have this inner illumination. And with that, you will harness your strength in really cool ways. So it's kind of fun. I like that. Okay, and the last card we have today, it came up, is basically Queen of Cups. She's called Queen of Goblets in this particular deck. Queen of Goblets. So when I see the Queen of Cups, I think about not being afraid of your emotions. You want to support yourself by expressing your emotions in healthy ways. And along these lines, I think it's cool, as best you can, to surround yourself and try to spend time with people who do value a mature sense of emotions, and a sense of emotional vulnerability is important to you and to these people. And I know that's not always possible, because sometimes, like our friends and family or colleagues or whoever we hang out with, sometimes they're not that into emotional vulnerability, and you have to be aware of that. But as much as you can, if you do have a couple friends who you feel like you're more comfortable discussing sensitive issues around, it's kind of an invitation to cultivate that even more. I know it's hard to hang out sometimes these days with the pandemic, but try to, get on some video calls or something and try to express your emotions in healthy ways, and and be the person who is emotionally mature for others too, as much as you can. I know it's not always possible, but we can try our best. So there's a couple other spiritual insights that I had written down, but I think that it would be its own video more. I'm really fascinated by a mystical sense of life, and that's going to be coming through in my videos, like it already does, I guess. So I really appreciate the way that you've tuned into this video. It's really cool. I really love making them. I'm hoping to get back into making videos even more. I kind of took a little bit of a break for a couple weeks. And if you're interested in picking up these decks of cards, feel free to check out Amazon, or if you like another shop, you can do another shop. This is Angelarium, Oracle of Emanations. It's a little bit of a smaller deck. It's a little different. It's 33 cards, but it's still really cool. It's like amazing artwork. It's very imaginative and fun. And then you've probably heard of this one. It came out really recently, the Tarot del Toro. So I'm not going to say too much about the author or the movie director who this deck is based on, because I haven't seen that many of his movies. So I'm sure someone else can talk about that even better. But it's really cool. I think it's actually, the art is actually wood etchings. So I don't know. It's just amazing. Like, it's a good booklet too. It's a good introduction. So, check these different card decks out if you are inspired to. And like I said, if you have some insights and thoughts, any type of thoughtful comments, and you'd like to email me and talk about that a little more, I'm open to that. And check out my website. And I could just go in circles saying the same stuff. Like, I always say to my husband Joey, like, when I get really like kind of emotionally charged about something, I'm like, okay, insert my life story 5 times right here. I'm not gonna go over it again. Because like Joey has heard everything, for the past 12 years. I don't have any new stories to share with him usually. Anyway, lots of side notes. Hope you got some insights and some inspiration out of this video, and I will see you next time. Thank you.